What if the only thing holding you back isn't your past? It's the story you keep telling yourself about who you are. Maybe it's not the fear, maybe it's not the lack of time or the lack of confidence. Maybe it's your identity, and without even realizing it, you've been living inside a version of yourself that no longer fits. Here's the truth most people miss. You will never outperform your identity, because the strongest force in human nature is the need to stay consistent with how you define yourself. So today we're going to unpack the concept of identity, not in a fluffy philosophical way, but in a way that helps you take real practical steps to redefine who you are. By the end, you'll walk away with powerful clarity on how your identity is shaping your life and what to do if you're ready to go beyond. So what is identity really? It's the way you describe yourself to yourself. It's a belief you hold about who you are and what you're capable of and what makes you you. It's not what you do, it's a story you tell yourself. For example, I'm a people pleaser isn't just a description, it's a rule book you live by. So when you set boundaries, you hesitate. Why? Because it would break the identity you've been holding onto. Let me share a story that brings this to life. A woman named Asha had always described herself as a quiet one. From school to work, she avoided speaking up. She believed she wasn't a leader, wasn't bold, and definitely wasn't someone who could influence others. But one day, her world changed. Her mom fell seriously ill, and suddenly Asha had to step up. She became the one managing hospital visits, organizing family schedules, and making big decisions. At first, she doubted herself every step of the way. This isn't me, she'd tell herself. I'm not strong enough. But she kept going because she had to. And over time, she realized something. Her actions were proving her old identity wrong. She was leading. She was speaking up. She was strong. There was one moment after a long hospital meeting where the doctors turned to her and said, "Thank you for being so clear and composed. You've helped us move forward faster." That moment hit her. She walked out of that room and said to herself, "I'm not the quiet one anymore. I'm the one who shows up when it matters." Asha had crossed the threshold. She met her challenge. She returned changed. She didn't become someone new. She uncovered who she'd been all along. And that's what identity work is. It's not about pretending. It's about remembering who you really are and shedding the limits you've outgrown. Let's make this real for you now. Take a moment to reflect. You might even want to jot this down and later or pause to think about it. Ask yourself, who are you really? Not what you do, but who are you? Who are you when you're with your family, your friends, your team at work, your community? Do you show up the same in every space, or do different roles pull out different parts of you? Now, flip it. What are you not? Who are you not anymore? Maybe it's time to update an old story that doesn't fit who you've become. Think of someone who always said, "I'm not a morning person." It became their identity. So every time they tried to wake up early, they hit the snooze button. Not because they couldn't, but because deep down they believed that wasn't who they are. But when that person started training for a marathon or parenting a newborn, they had to show up early. And suddenly the identity shifted. Maybe I can be a morning person. Change didn't start with an alarm clock. It started with an identity upgrade. Now that you've reflected on who you are and who you're not, let's talk about how to actually expand your identity. Because here's something most people overlook. You don't just think your way into a new identity. You experience your way into it. Real growth doesn't come from just reading or repeating something in your head. It happens when you do something that makes your nervous system say, "Whoa, we're not who we used to be." One of the fastest way to expand who you believe you are is to do something that's outside your comfort zone. Nothing crazy. You don't need to skydive tomorrow, but if you've always avoided speaking in public, maybe you raise your hand in the next meeting. If you usually keep quiet in a group, maybe you introduce yourself to just one new person. It's the small stretch that creates the shift. There's a guy I know, Rishi. He always called himself shy, hated being the center of attention. But something in him wanted to break free. So he joined a local improv class. The first session, he barely spoke. He was sweating the whole time. But he came back week after week. And on the final day, he stood on stage, performed a scene that got the loudest clap of the night. Not because he became someone else, but because he allowed himself to grow beyond who he thought he was. That's what identity expansion looks like. You take actions that doesn't match the old story, and eventually the story has to change. Another powerful way to shift your identity is through incantations. Now, I don't mean sitting quietly and saying, I'm confident over and over again. I'm talking about getting your body involved, using your voice, your breath, your posture, so your nervous system starts believing it. You're rewiring not just your mind, but your state. Try this. Stand up tall, breathe deep, and say out loud, I'm the type of person who takes bold actions no matter how I feel. Say it with energy. Say it 10 times. Do that every morning before your day starts. Watch what happens to your decisions, your momentum, your mindset, because identity is not just a thought, it's a feeling you carry. Environment is another way. If you want to feel inspired, go where inspiration lives. If you want to think bigger, spend time in places that breathe possibility. Even your home can impact your identity. What's on your walls, what's on your desk. Create a space that reflects the future you, not the old one. Put up a vision board. Stick empowering quotes on your mirror. Yes. Light a candle every time you work on your dream. Make your environment your ally. And finally, and this is a huge one, change who you're around. You've heard it before, but it's real. You become like the people you spend the most time with. If you're always around people who play it safe, who avoid growth, who stay small, it's going to feel normal to stay where you are. But when you step into a room where people challenge themselves, take action, think big, your identity starts catching up. I know a woman, Tara, who wanted to start her own business. She kept talking about it, but no one in her circle got it. Every time she mentioned it, her idea, her friends would say, it's too risky. So she found a local business meetup. One evening changed everything. She saw people like her just a few steps ahead, making it work. 3 months later, her online shop was live. Not because of some magic business plan, but because she no longer saw herself as just a dreamer. She became a doer just by being in a new room. So if you're ready to grow, don't wait for permission. Stretch yourself, speak differently, stand taller, surround yourself with people who reflect the version of you're stepping into. Because every new experience, every repeated action, and every conversation that stretches you're becoming more of who you truly are. And identity is not fixed, it's fluid, it's chosen. And the best part is you get to choose again, starting today. So here's what I want you to do right now. Choose one outdated identity you're ready to let go of. Maybe it's, I'm not confident. Maybe it's, I'm not good with money. Maybe it's, I always put others first. Write it down, cross it out, and underneath it, write, I'm becoming someone who, then finish that sentence in a way that excites you. Because identity isn't a box, it's a doorway. And right now, you're holding the key. Take care.